we do have to ask the next question then. The next question is, now that Aaron Rodgers is out, who replaces Zach Wilson? Because we know it's not going to be Zach. So who's the QB? Who are we going to trade for? I'm not even a Jets fan. Brian, you're the Jets fan. Who do you want to trade for?
Okay, I would really like Carson Wentz.
Okay.
Carson Wentz is like relatively young, and he's been in the Super Bowl before. I think he would be good. There's also, there's Kirk Cousins that he's been talked about a lot too. He's older. There was Matt Ryan who people talked about, but I think that would be a mistake.
That'd be an interesting one, yeah. So you had to pick one, you're going Wentz.
If I had to pick one, I'd go Wentz because I'm tired of the Jets getting like older QBs. I mean, we also have had very young and inexperienced QBs, such as like I don't know, like Sam Darnold was a perfect one. When Chad Pennington came on, he wasn't like the best, and then he obviously left and was great.
Side note: people used to tell me that I look like Chad Pennington. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
But then we also had, we had Vinny Testaverde, who also ruptured his Achilles in, I believe, the 1999 season and was out the entire season, and that was because he was older. Then we got Brett Favre after he retired. So when we got Aaron Rodgers, I was kind of skeptical because he's so old as it is, but he's also great. And like from when I was watching Hard Knocks, I was like, oh, he's money. This is going to be a great team. So, but I guess to answer your question, I would like Carson Wentz because he's kind of like in between. Like he has experience, but also he's still relatively young too as well. So I think that I would really, really like to see them get Carson Wentz.
So do you feel this team, because we all agree that Zach is not Zach, it ain't the guy. Do you think that if this team just had like an average to slightly above average QB, that this team is a playoff team again, probably?
Yeah. If they have an above average, yeah, absolutely. Garrett Wilson is amazing. Some of the catches that Garrett Wilson has been making, even with shitty Zach Wilson, like in the Cowboys game, it's just mind blowing. Our defense is great. We have Sauce Gardner, who's one of the best cornerbacks, and Josh Allen is nothing to sneeze at offensively, and we forced 4 turnovers.
Oh, that D is great.
A devastating blow. Yeah.
There we go. So let me throw one more name at you, Brian, if this is cool. How would you feel if they brought Minshew Mania to New York?
I would love it. You know what? I would love it. Okay. So I don't think he's the guy that's going to take us to the promised land. I don't think that I don't think we should spend a ton of money, but
he's a backup right now.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as why. I would kind of look at it as why not. From a fan perspective, he's such a cool guy with his Tom Selleck porn mustache and whatnot. He's just such. There's so many stories about Minshew being such a eccentric character when he was on the Jaguars. So here's what I think: anyone but Zach Wilson. Minshew is towards the end of my list, but it would definitely be. It would be fun. It would make the Jets fun for what's been a really depressing season.
And that's the beginning of the season. That's why I asked that, is because, I'll admit I'm a kind of a homer when I ask that question, because I actually, this is going to sound weird, but I was a huge Mike Leach fan, the great coach before he passed away. So I actually followed Gardner Minshew during that whole year he was at Washington State. I watched all those games. So I love that dude. And I think, alluding to what Brian said a minute ago, that dude is such like a Southern kind of eccentric weirdo redneck that it would be so funny to have that dude be the guy in New York City of all places. And that's kind of why I want to see it happen.
I think he would, what's funny? I think he would actually thrive here because he's a good looking guy. He's apparently like a very outgoing and friendly guy and a funny guy too. If he was great, that would be amazing if we got Gardner Minshew and he just started to be like an amazing Joe Namath quarterback, because personality wise, I feel like him and Joe Namath may be similar. I don't know if Minshew drinks as much as Joe Namath, but
Yes.
they definitely got like an easygoing playboy vibe to them. So it would be fun.
Oh, for
It would
sure.
definitely be fun. It would definitely be fun if we got him. I wouldn't hate it, but like I also was, if we like spent a ton of money and invested our future in him, I would be like, that's the wrong move.
Well, the reason why I brought it up is because right now he's just the Colts backup. If they fall out of it, he might be able to be had in 4 or 5 weeks from now. That's because I always think of budget solutions. I'm also not a Jets fan, so I got Minshew. Brian's got Wentz. Mike, who do you got? Who are you bringing in if you're the Jets GM?
If you have to bring in somebody, I mean, Minshew sounds good. I heard somebody interesting somebody mentioned on the radio, Nick Foles. I mean, the guy is a Super Bowl
How
winner.
old is he now?
That's the thing. It's like what you have left isn't much. I mean, who do you have? You have Cam Newton out there. You have, I believe you have Cam Newton. You have Kaepernick is still out there. You have
Those will both be funny, by the way.
Fitzmagic. I mean, you have all these quarterbacks who have not played in a while. So I heard RG3 talking, and he was saying there's nobody better for the job right now than Zach Wilson, because somebody would have to come in and relearn the offense and learn the whole vibe and the structure of the team, and is expected to win right away. And unfortunately, I mean, it depends on how well he plays, but right now he's not the best. So unfortunately, you have Zach Wilson. But if Zach Wilson can play like he played when he came in for Rodgers, he wasn't amazing, but he was good. If he can do that and level up and just get better as the season progresses, then he should be the starting quarterback. I mean, there's no reason for him not to be the starting quarterback. It's just his struggles have kept him out.
He's got to work on not throwing interceptions. I mean, like I think he had 3 interceptions last Sunday with the Cowboys. Like that's just like, I mean, we have a great offense. We have like a ton of weapons offensively. I mean, again, Garrett Wilson. You throw the most ridiculous passes, the most uncatchable passes to that guy, and he'll manage to catch it. So I just don't. I just like. I don't think if you're a decent quarterback, there's not an excuse why you can't go far with this team. So if especially from what I saw on the Monday Night Football game with the Bills, I don't see why we wouldn't go far. It would have to be the quarterback. It really is. But that's a good point too, Mike. I think it would take a lot, especially too, like if you get someone who's like a diva too as well, that's just gonna be like, oh, I should get paid a lot. I know what I'm doing. Like there has been a lot of camaraderie that's been built up in this team. I know Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers actually, for like all like the jokes we make about him, he really did take Zach Wilson under his wing too, and was like really just like trying to show him the ropes. So which I think is
hasn't
good.
rubbed off yet, but maybe. So Mike, your answer it sounds like is just stick with Zach. That's what it sounds like to me. Your answer is, which I respect that answer, especially if it sounds like they're trying to
I just don't know. I mean, if they is there somebody good enough out there that they can bring in that's going to turn this into? There's nobody who's going to equal Aaron Rodgers. Number one. And number two is last week they only had 4 touches for Breece Hall. So if you're telling me now you're down a quarterback, you have an offensive weapon in Breece Hall as one of the top running backs in the league. Why are they not giving him the ball more often to go out there and run? I mean, we just saw in the offseason all the controversy about not paying running backs enough, and it's a position they don't need anymore or something. I grew up a Rodney Hampton fan from the Giants. Running back was always my favorite. Why we don't have the days of Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders anymore? I don't know. I know it's so heavily on the quarterback and passing, but the Jets don't have, or at least they feel they don't have the quarterback to lead them. But you have Breece Hall. Why are you not giving Breece Hall the ball? Let him make things happen. And then you mean to tell me Zach can't come in on 3rd down and throw that sideline pass to get them a 1st down? Or whoever they're bringing in as a replacement should at least they should be relying their offense on Breece Hall. Forget everything with Aaron Rodgers they had planned. Make a pivot and focus on Breece Hall. He should be your offense.
I think, I mean, you can't completely focus. That honestly, I have to just push back a little bit on that, Mike, because that's been, I mean, ground and pound I can't say that without laughing. Ground and pound
say it without
has been
laughing.
Ground and pound. Isn't that the name of the party that you got invited to later, Brian?
Yeah, that's basically my friend.
Ground and pound is how you make chili. Yeah.
Sports is like the gayest thing possible, which is hilarious. How much like there's homophobia.
Especially
dudes wearing other dudes' clothes, with
spandex, bending over.
Yeah.
There
we go.
But like I guess like relying on the running backs have always been kind of something that like the Jets have always done because they haven't had great quarterbacks. So like
that's true.
They've always relied on. I mean, I remember Curtis Martin is obviously in the Jets fan not the Jets fan, the Jets Hall of Fame.
Right.
As a running back. Yeah, but it was also because like during the time we had terrible quarterbacks, so we were always handing it off to him. And that's why like he was just able to gain all the like he was able to break records in regards to like gaining yardage because everyone would always hand it off to him. So I Breece Hall is great. I think he had like 86 yards when he ran it back in the Buffalo game.
Week 1, yeah.
But I don't think
you don't think it can be done anymore.
You can't just they cannot just rely on Breece Hall. They have to have a quarterback that can that is multi-talented that can do multiple things. And if they don't, like it's just I think this is just going to be a waste of the season, and it's just going to be another depressing season of football.
It's just
all right. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, I was just going to say quickly. No, Brian, you're not wrong. I just felt like if your number one offensive weapon is out, then by default you have to go to number 2, and that's Breece Hall. But you do make a point. They always had to rely on the running backs. But Breece Hall's pissed off from last week. Maybe this weekend he's got a fire lit under him, and Zach really should have a fire lit under him too. This is Zach's moment to shine, to prove all the naysayers wrong. I don't know. Hey, if you want Danny Dimes, you can have him because I'm still not sold on Danny Dimes.
No, no, you can keep Danny Dimes. Even though he did get a touchdown last week, the Giants actually The Giants actually did better than the Jets last week, even though the Giants are doing terrible.
No, it took them 3 quarters to get going. Yeah.
No, it took them 7 quarters to get going, Mike. It took them 7 because remember what happened in the first game of the season, which we're not going to talk about ever again, ever.
I can't celebrate comebacks. You had a whole game to be that good, and it took you to the last minute to come back. And it's like, what were you doing the other 3 quarters?